This module number 3, the title is Project Planning and Scheduling. So after going through the module number 1 and 2, that is Introduction to Project Management, and second module with respect to initiating the project, now we have to go for the third stage or third module. As we have discussed about the project life cycle in the first module, we know that initiating project, that is the first phase, and once you have the initiating project step over, then we go for the next step, that is planning the project. So we are also going according to the project life cycle. We will have our journey for completion of the syllabus for this project management similar to the journey of a project, right from initiation to the final closure of the project. So the second phase what we have in the project life cycle is given with respect to the module number 3, that is project planning and scheduling. So let us try to understand first what are the various contents expected in this particular module. So you can see work breakdown structure, which is also abbreviated as WBS, and there is another kind of chart we have to understand, which is linear responsibility chart. So we have to go in detail with respect to how a work breakdown structure can be created, and what do we mean by this linear responsibility chart, and how to create a linear responsibility chart for a particular operation or for a particular project. Then second part in this particular module is with respect to interfacing the coordination and concurrent engineering. Third is with respect to the project cost estimation and budgeting. So financial aspects of your project, how to go for estimation of the cost, what various parameters we should take into account, and how to create the budget. When we are going for this budgeting process, what is the top down budgeting process and what is the bottoms up budgeting process, so that we have to understand. Then next part in this module is with respect to networking and scheduling techniques. So network analysis, especially the students who are from mechanical engineering department, they already have learnt about this networking analysis or network analysis, that is critical path method, CPM, and project evaluation and review technique, that is PERT, or program evaluation and review technique, that is PERT. Other than mechanical engineering students, we also have students from computer engineering, students from automobile, and students from EXTC also, those who haven't studied this network analysis. So for them this will be a new concept, but for mechanical student this will be already a concept which have been taken up, studied in your PPC in semester 7, and it will be a repetition of the same thing what they have learned. But we have to think in perspective that for everybody this is a new concept and we have to write from the scratch, we have to start with the beginning. Then we have to also learn about the scheduling technique like Gantt chart. So again, the students from mechanical, at least they have heard about this word, that is Gantt chart. They might have written some short note on Gantt chart in any examination, but for other people again this will be a new concept. Then finally in this particular module, Introduction to Project Management Information System, that is PMIS, that we have to understand. So PMIS is the last part of this particular module. Now in this module, especially this second last part, that is PERT and CPM, network analysis, this portion or this particular content will be having numerical problems. So in your final examination also, you will find when exams were conventional, there used to be certain problems based upon the CPM and PERT. So we have to solve certain problems with respect to finding out the critical path, finding out the various time estimates, crashing the activities, and the PERT related problems. So we have to solve the problems, but again, as we have discussed, we will try to finish off the theoretical portion initially, and then Altogether, we will switch ourselves from theory portion to the numerical portion after we complete this theoretical part. So let us start with the first part or first point in this particular module. So the first part we have to understand is about the work breakdown structure. So I think in module number 1 also we have discussed about this work breakdown structure. At least we have uh, gone through this word WBS, isn't it? Do you remember? In module number 1, do you remember that this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. So can somebody tell me what this WBS is all about? What is your perception about this word? If you remember something, whatever we have discussed that time. Yes, anyone? No? So work breakdown structure is nothing but what? If you have a bigger task, bigger project which is to be completed, we try to divide that project into number of different activities. Again, each activity will be divided, subdivided into small elements, small sub activities. Each sub activity will be divided into again small elements, and then you go on drawing a flowchart kind of diagram wherein at the top you have the final objective, final project title, what for what you are exercising all these things. And as you go from top to bottom, the width of your diagram will go on increasing because the branches will go on increasing, the sub activities, elements, sub elements, they will go on increasing. So you will have a pyramid kind of structure. So you have something at the top which is to be achieved finally. To achieve that, there are certain activities which are required. To execute those particular activities, there are again some sub activities under each activity. Again, for those sub activities, there will be some elements which are to be executed. For each sub element, there will be again some sub elements which are to be undertaken. So likewise, so it will be a kind of tree diagram or flow chart. We go on establishing, we go on preparing. So that we call it as work breakdown structure. So when we reach to the lowest level, we try to understand that what are the type of work which are at micro level. And when we start thinking in terms of works at micro level, it is always easier for us to understand that how many activities are involved, what resources those activities will be requiring, whether those resources they are available with the organization or they need to be purchased, they need to be hired from outside, the resources which are required, whether they are of human resource kind or non-human resource kind. And likewise, there will be so many micro planning you can execute once we have the entire work breakdown structure ready with you. So that's why this work breakdown structure is considered to be an important document in project management. It can be tailored for use in a number of different ways. So once you have your work breakdown structure in place, for what purpose you want to use it, accordingly it can be slightly modified. But basically, the first and foremost thing is you should be able to break down your work into small elements, and that is very essential. It may illustrate how each piece of project contributes to the whole in terms of performance, responsibility, budget, and schedule. So once you have the variety of elements identified for a particular project, you will try to understand how each element of your project, each small piece of information from your project is contributing to the entire project in terms of its performance, in terms of the responsibility, in terms of the budget or the costing it has, and in terms of the schedule or the time it is taking to complete that particular activity. It may list the vendors and subcontractors associated with the specific task. So whenever you are identifying and noting down the various activities, sub activities, small elements, you can also try to identify if the activities are not supposed to be done in house, whether those activities can be subcontracted, whether those activities can be taken up from outside. If they can be taken up from outside, who will be the vendors, who will be the subcontractors, who will be associated with that particular task or that activity. So that is another use and benefit of having this work breakdown structure. So for individual element, you will be able to identify and assign those tasks to certain subcontractors. In that particular way, you will also come to know whether you are not, whether you are burdening a subcontractor with multiple tasks together. So if that is happening, you can again subdivide that task to some other contractor, some other subcontractor, so that the work will be carried out in most efficient manner. It may be used to document that all parties have signed off on their various commitments to the project. So that is another thing. So this work breakdown structure can also be used to document that all parties which are involved in carrying out the or executing the particular project activity, they have signed off for their various commitments to the particular project. It may note detailed specification for any work package, establish account numbers, specify the hardware or software to be used, and identify the resource needs. So this is making the work breakdown structure more and more informative. So the basic work breakdown structure will be simply noting down the activities, sub activities, small activities, the tasks which are assigned. But if you want to make that work breakdown structure more and more effective, more and more informative, then you can also go on adding certain specifications with respect to the work package, some hardware and software which is to be used, some account details, the resources which are required, etc. This work breakdown structure may serve as basis for making cost estimates or estimate of task duration. So once you have the work breakdown structure in place, using this work breakdown structure, you will be facilitated to estimate the cost, because you can estimate the cost for individual element, individual task, and just summing up the cost which is involved with completion of individual task, if you add together, you will be able to estimate the total project cost. Similarly, if you can have the estimation of the time which is required to complete the particular activities, likewise if you club all the activities and their duration, then you will be able to understand the total project duration or the total schedule of your project. Its uses are limited only by the needs of project and imagination of the project manager. So this work breakdown structure will be used as per the requirements of your project and as per the imagination of project manager. No one version of the WBS will suit all needs. So the WBS is not a document, but any given WBS is simply one of the many possible documents. So work breakdown structure is not an unique document. So many people can prepare their work breakdown structure in different ways. Maybe for a same task, for a same project, if you ask variety of people to prepare the work breakdown structure, everybody will try to prepare the work breakdown structure as per his imagination capabilities, as per his thinking abilities, and as per his experience. So that's why the work breakdown structure will not be unique for everyone. So everybody will try to prepare the work breakdown structure as per his requirements and as per his knowledge. So any work breakdown structure, whatever you have, it is one of the many work breakdown structures that can be prepared for a particular project. This is typically a work breakdown structure diagram. I hope the diagram is clearly visible to you. So let us say there is certain project, some XYZ project. So you write the project title at level 1. So here it is simply written as the project. So you can say it is XYZ, whatever project you have. Then once you have this project in place, then at level 2, you have the various activities, various works which are to be carried out for completion of the project. So like the activities which have been mentioned, they are basic design, mechanical subassembly, electrical subassembly, final assembly, administration of the project, and overall project management. So these are some of the functions, some of the activities which have been listed as the level 2 for completion of the project. So if all these activities are getting completed, we can move up to the next level, that is level 1, and we say the project is finished. Now moving from level 2 to level 3, in level 3 we have to again go for giving the sub activities under each activity which is mentioned for level 2. Maybe for any activity there will be uh, 3 sub activities, for some there may be 10 sub activities, for some there may be 20 sub activities, we don't know, depending upon the work involved, depending upon the volume of work which is involved in that particular activity. There may be multiple sub activities involved in level number 3 for individual activity in level 2. So one sample has been shown. If I say the work of electrical subassembly, then the various activities or works which are required will be electrical works, works which are related to the instrumentation or instruments, and the assembly of your electrical components. So these are some of the sub activities involved in the electrical sub assembly. Likewise, there will be some sub activities in mechanical sub assembly, some sub activities in basic design, some sub activities in final assembly, similarly in administration, similarly in project management. Again, if you go for this electrical components in level 3, again you may have multiple activities involved with respect to the electrical work. Again, if you go for the instruments, there may be multiple sub activities involved, and when you go for assembly, again there will be multiple sub activity involved. So these all activities will be coming at level 4. So now you can understand, as you move from top to bottom, you move from up to from the upward position to the downward side in the vertically downward manner, then the width of your structure, width of your work breakdown structure will go on increasing, because every time in each level more number of blocks are getting added and the width will go on expanding. Similarly, if you go from bottom towards the top or from higher level to the level 1, then the width will go on reducing. It will be like a triangular structure or pyramid kind of structure. So at the apex point you will have the project title, the completed project, and at the base you will have all the small elements of activities which are to be needed to complete that particular project. Another example of work breakdown structure, the diagram is in front of you. You can see the project again at level 1. So any project XYZ, level 2, there are two phases of your project, phase 1 and phase 2. So this seems to be a like construction project. So this kind of structure you might have seen or you might have observed in variety of cities. Let us say if a construction project is going on, residential plus commercial complex, there will be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Likewise, there will be multiple phases. So initially the builder may not start with all the phases together. So he will have is, he will start with phase 1. Once it is about to complete 80%, it is completed, he will start the work for phase 2, because he may need to use certain resources which are common. So he will try to focus first on one phase, let it get completed 80% of its work, so that most of the resources will get free, and then they can be used for another phase and the work can be started. So let us say there is a builder, there is a construction company, they are starting a project in some ABC city. So that project is having two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 1, they are going to build two different buildings. One is industrial complex and second is office complex. So in phase 1, there are two types of buildings they are going to build. So industrial complex is different and office complex is different. Maybe they have taken a project for establishment of a factory. In any factory, the office building or office complex is separate, and the industrial actual shop floor, it will be a different complex. So likewise, office complex, if you consider, in office complex there are three blocks: block 1, block 2, block 3. If I consider any particular block inside this office complex, so you can see block 2. So what that particular block is having, it has certain offices, it has a ground, maybe for networking area, we can say, for organizing some small events, there will be a small ground, and there will be a car parking area. Again, if I say offices, again in offices there will be services and the building. Inside the services, you will have different services which are required, that are fire and security services, climate control services, electrical services, lighting services, and so and so. So now you can see how we go in detail, how we start at broader level, at the superficial level, at the project title, and then go on describing the things at more and more detailed. So detailing is very important. If at any particular work level, any particular task, then I should go on asking what are the various activities involved in that. In each activity, what are the sub activities involved in that, what are the other works which are involved. So likewise, so like here it has been shown for block 2, similar kind of grounds, offices, car parking, maybe for block 1, maybe for block 3, maybe for block 3 car parking may not be required, it will have only ground and office. Or maybe for block 1, along with ground, office, car parking, there may be facility required like a canteen. So likewise, we have to go on understanding what are the works involved with respect to each and every activity, and then go on for micro level detailing for all the activities. So preparing this kind of structure is nothing but your work breakdown structure. So this particular diagram is a very beautiful example of how a work breakdown structure should be. So right from level 1 to level 7, and still there may will be so many levels, because each level, again we are going for bifurcating the various activities. So I hope you have understood the concept of this work breakdown structure with this diagram, isn't it? Now the next part is with respect to the work breakdown structure, how it can be prepared in different manner. We said in the previous discussion that work breakdown structure is not a unique document. It is not a single document. Work breakdown structure can be prepared in multiple ways. So if we say that work breakdown structure can be prepared in multiple ways, so here you can see the project is same, that is a wedding. So level 1, if you see for all the three diagrams, it is all nothing but about the project. And what is the project? It is the project with respect to a wedding function. So if the wedding function is considered to be a project, Then this wedding function can be represented as work breakdown structure in different manner. So some sample variations, some sample examples they have been shown. The first example, whatever has been shown, there is no logical work breakdown structure. So simply you have the level 1 as the wedding project, the title is given, and at level 2 you have listed all the individual tasks which are there to complete that particular wedding project. So n number of activities they have been listed in the form of blocks at the same level. So that is one kind of work breakdown structure which can be prepared, because there is no hard and fast rule, there is no a specific methodology to prepare the work breakdown structure. Everybody, as we have said, as per his knowledge, as per his understanding, as per his logic development and thinking ability, he will try to prepare the work breakdown structure. Let us go to the second work breakdown structure. You can see the work breakdown structure by functional specializations. So what this particular person has done is, the person who has prepared this work breakdown structure for the wedding project, what he has done is he has identified which functional specializations are required to complete this particular wedding project, and he has listed all these functional specializations in the second level. Like, it may be programming the event, it may be arrangements for guests, the functional area like catering services, functional area like music for entertainment, functional area like the floral displays, or you can say the decoration of the hall or the venue at which the wedding function is going to be taken place. Dressmaking and tailoring, that is another type of work, type of functional specialization which is needed. Likewise, there may be so many other functions, so many other specialities which are required for the work. Now, in each specialized functional area, you will have again certain sub activities, correct? So we need to identify which are the sub activities. So if we say about the, let us say, the floral displays, okay, so there may be you may have the wedding function at a marriage hall. So what type of floral displays are to be arranged at the entrance? That will be the first activity. Second may be uh, where wherever you have the stage and dais, how to go for the floral displays. Any other spaces where maybe you are going to serve the food, what kind of displays and decoration you will be offering. So likewise, for each activity you will have multiple sub activities to be identified. If we say about the catering, the catering which is one day prior, the catering which is in the morning breakfast, the catering with respect to the afternoon lunch, whether we are going for serving the conventional or there will be non-conventional kind of foods to be offered. So likewise, so many detailing you have to go for when you are going for this work breakdown structure with respect to the functional specializations. Then the third type of work breakdown structure, you can see it is the work breakdown structure by venue. So earlier case we have seen the work breakdown structure by the activities or the functional areas. Now we are going for making the work breakdown structure by the place at which the activities are going to be carried out. So the project remains same. At level 1 the project is same, that is wedding project, but at level 2 you have the various locations like the cathedral, the main reception, the guest hotels, airport arrangements, spectator arrangements, honeymoon arrangements, etc. So depending upon the venue at which you are going to perform certain activity, you need to go on planning the various sub functions which will be involved. So likewise, this we can confirm that work breakdown structure is not an unique document. Depending upon the requirement, depending upon the people, they can prepare the work breakdown structure as per their own judgment, as per their own requirements. This work breakdown structure may be useful to create another kind of document which is also called as organizational breakdown structure. So work breakdown structure is breaking down the work into small elements. Similar to this, you can also go for preparation of organizational breakdown structure. So this OBS is nothing but a document which displays the organizational units responsible for each of the various work elements in the WBS. So to prepare this organizational breakdown structure, first you should have the work breakdown structure ready. Now the work breakdown structure, what are work elements you have identified, for each work breakdown structure element, which organizational unit is responsible, that will be displayed in organizational breakdown structure. Who must approve or be notified for progress or changes in its scope. So it will also give the idea about who will be approving particular activities, who should be notified about the progress, or who should be given information with respect to change in the scope of a particular process. Since WBS and OBS may well not be identical, so that's why these things are required. So sometimes they may be identical, sometimes your WBS may be different, and organizational breakdown structure may be different. Some major sections of WBS may be the responsibility of two or more departments, while other sections of WBS, two or more say, may all be the responsibility of one department. So when you have work breakdown structure ready, either you can have situation like one element of your work breakdown structure is responsibility of one particular department of your organization. So 1-to-1, that can be the distribution of assignment of the various activities. Sometimes you may feel that the activity is one. In the work breakdown structure, you have mentioned the activity as one activity, but there are multiple departments of your organization, they are involved in that particular activity. So if that is the case, then that will be reflected in your organizational breakdown structure. Similarly, sometimes it may happen that one particular department of your organization may be involved in variety of activities of your work breakdown structure. So that is also possible. So when you prepare these two documents, work breakdown structure and organizational breakdown structure, you will come to know what is the ratio of activities listed in work breakdown structure to the departments assigned to that particular work from organizational breakdown structure. Such a document can be useful for department managers to see their total responsibilities for a particular project. So this particular document will be helpful for department manager or a functional manager to see that how much responsibilities he is having for a particular project. This organizational breakdown structure, OBS, is considered to be similar to another kind of chart which is called as linear responsibility chart. So let us try to understand what this linear responsibility chart is all about. So what we say, WBS and organizational breakdown structure, they are dependent on each other. Once we prepare WBS, we can go for forming the organizational breakdown structure for all the activities and sub activities which have been mentioned in WBS. This OBS, organizational breakdown structure, is similar to the linear responsibility chart. This is one example of a linear responsibility chart. So I hope the chart is clear to you. It is visible. So on left hand side, you can see there are variety of activities they have been listed. Establish project plan, define the work breakdown structure, establish the hardware and specifications, establish the hardware specifications. Then next is establish the software specifications, establish the interface specifications. Next is establish manufacturing specifications, define documentation, establish market plan, prepare the labor estimate, prepare the equipment cost estimate, prepare material costs, make the program assignments, and establish the time schedules. So these are the variety of activities involved for a particular project. Now, on left hand side, we have listed all these activities. At the top, if you see, there are variety of columns prepared, and the headings of the column, you can observe the various designations in your project organization, they have been mentioned. So if you move from left to right, you can see vice president, general manager, project manager, manager for engineering, manager for software, manager for manufacturing, manager for marketing, then sub program manager for manufacturing, sub program manager for software, sub program manager for hardware, and sub program manager for services. So various designations or the people involved in your project. These all designations, they have been listed in the headings of the multiple columns they have been prepared. And now you can see there are certain numbers mentioned. So let us try to understand what these numbers are all about. So that numbers and what they represent, it is mentioned at the bottom of your chart. When we say number 1, it is actual responsibility. Number 2 indicates general supervision. Number 3 indicates must be consulted. Number 4 may be consulted. Number 5 must be notified. And number 6 for final approval. So if I take any particular activity, then if you consider the row for that activity, then you will come to know which people are involved and what type of involvement those people are having with respect to that activity. So this particular is a very important chart, very essential chart in an organization. If this chart is foolproof, this chart is completely prepared, and it is prepared by taking the consent from your top management, then referring this chart, people will understand for each activity who should be contacted and for what purpose he should be contacted. Let us take the example of first activity, that is establishing the project plan. So you can see we have to start with the numbers first. Number 1 stands for actual responsibility. So establish project plan, this activity, who has the actual responsibility? Looking at the diagram, can somebody tell me?
Sorry, sir. Can you repeat?
The activity establish project plan, who is the person responsible for actual responsibility?
Project manager.
Project manager, because in the column of project manager and the row for established project plan, you will identify there is number 1, and 1 stands for actual responsibility. Means he is the person responsible to establish the project plan. Now when he is establishing the project plan, you can see in general manager column the number mentioned is 2, means he will be supervising. The general manager will have the work of supervision over the project manager whether he is establishing the project plan properly or not. Then comes the number 3. Number 3 is about must be consulted. So when the project manager is establishing the project plan, he cannot do the work independently. He cannot do the work without asking or consulting some people. So who are the mandatory people they should be consulted? One is engineering manager, second is software manager, third is manufacturing manager, and fourth is marketing manager. So before he prepares, the project manager is actually responsible to prepare the project plan, establish the project plan. He will be supervised by the general manager. He will take the consent. He will consult, or he has to consult the manager for economics, engineering, software, manufacturing, and marketing. In addition to this, he may consult, if required, sub program manager for manufacturing, sub program manager for software, for hardware, for services, etc. So the number 4 is mentioned for these 4 authorities. And finally, you can see the project plan, once it is established, once it is ready, after consultation with these all managers, with the supervision of general manager, then finally it has to get approved by the vice president of your firm. So that is the first column, vice president, and you can see the responsibility is 6, means final approval. Unless and until the vice president gives final approval to your project plan, you cannot start its execution. So that is what is represented in that particular row. Okay, I hope you have understood this. If you have understood this, then some of you can try to explain the process of establish the market plan, how this process will be carried out. Can you do it? Establish market plan. So considering the columns and the numbers which have been mentioned and the description of the numbers given at the bottom, you have to explain how the process established market plan will be carried out in this linear responsibility chart. So can you do it? Can somebody of you explain? Chinmay, can you explain?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just try to explain that activity.
Sir, in established market plan, vice president and project manager, their advices should be notified.
See, whenever you are going for explaining any activity, you have to start right from the actual responsibility. You have to go serial number wise, because you cannot directly jump to the must be notified. You have to start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In that manner, you have to go on explaining. Okay. Yes, now you can explain.
Sir, from 1 to 5, na? 1 to 6.
1 to 5. Sometimes it will be 1 to 5, sometimes it may be 1 to 6.
Sir, in established market plan, marketing manager is has actual responsibility,
Okay.
and after that, general manager, the activity which is to be carried out must be consulted by the general manager,
Okay.
and after that, there is a problem of network. Sorry, sir.
Okay, you are not able to see the diagram?
Yes, sir. It's very
Okay.
blur now.
Okay. What about others? Are you able to see the diagram clearly? Are you there? Other people, Amar, Siddesh, Vignesh.
Yes, sir.
Diagram is visible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So let
Yes,
us
sir.
try to check the last. Yes, Siddesh, you want to say something? Anyway, so I hope you have now understood. If it is number one mentioned, means he is the actual person who is executing that particular task. He is the actual responsible person for doing that particular work. Whenever the number two is mentioned, that person will be responsible for carrying out the general supervision for that particular work. Number three indicates that person must be consulted to carry out the work. Number four, that person may be consulted to carry out the work. If it is number five, that person must be notified about the particular process which is going to be established. And number six indicates that that person will be responsible for giving the final approval for that particular activity or that particular process. So in work breakdown structure, list the task breakdown in successively finer levels of detail. Continue until all meaningful tasks or work packages have been identified, and each task or package can be individually planned, budgeted, scheduled, monitored, and controlled. It is obvious that if the set of work package descriptions is not complete and properly arranged, it is highly unlikely the project can be completed on time, on budget, and to specifications. So, for this particular purpose, your package description must be complete and it must be properly arranged. For each work package, identify the data relevant to the work breakdown structure. What data is required, like the vendors who will be carrying out the work, the duration which is required, what equipment, material, etc. are needed to carry out the activity, and certain special specifications for completion of the activity. List the personnel and organizations responsible for each task, so that we have seen in terms of numbers. It is helpful to construct a linear responsibility chart. Sometimes this is also called as simply responsibility chart or responsibility matrix, to show who is responsible for what. And this chart also shows critical interfaces between units that may require special managerial coordination. So sometimes, let us say somebody is supervising a particular activity, or somebody is needed to give final approval for a particular activity. Some people, they are involved in must be kind of consultation for any activity. So there may be some critical interfaces between the units. The person who is carrying out the actual execution part, and the person who is doing the general supervision or giving the final approval. So for that purpose, there may require special managerial coordination with all functional departments. With it, means with this linear responsibility chart, the project manager can keep track of who must approve what and who must report to whom. So you can have a general idea about who will have authority to approve what type of work, and also who will be the person to whom the people should report, or who should report to which particular person. So that clear idea will be available when you have this linear responsibility chart in hand. About the interface coordination, we will take up in the next class. interface coordination, concurrent engineering. These parts we will continue in the next